Spring fever is upon us. The Seattle housing market frenzy has started now. Hey, I'm McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and the Seattle real estate market is going crazy again. Housing inventory's down, lots of buyers are in the market, and the spring selling season, spring fever, housing frenzy, whatever you want to call it, is already starting in 2020. What is going on in the Seattle housing market? Well, the biggest shift here has been the amount of supply, the amount of inventory of homes for sale. Last month, I talked about in my Seattle real estate market update that the amount of homes on the market has now crept down below 1 month of supply. And what that means is that if no new homes come on the market, that will be all sold out within the month, which is crazy. Now, we were seeing things like this back in 2015, 2016, 2017, even the beginning of 2018, but really over the last year and a half, almost 2 years, we haven't seen housing supply numbers this low in the Seattle area, and they're back. So we're starting to see that amount of competition that we were seeing in 2016, 2017 coming back into the market. Last month, I showed some clients a house in Beacon Hill, which is a up and coming neighborhood in kind of south central Seattle. And this house really was not that great, not nice. Lots of work was needed. And as we were walking through this house, my clients liked it, but they liked it for even less than the asking price in their mind, right? 3 weeks later, this house is now sold, and I don't know all the details because we didn't end up making an offer on it. So I don't know if there were 15 or 20 offers on it, or what the terms of this contract were, but I do know that it sold for over 20% above the asking price, 100,000 plus above the asking price. And it's been a while since I've been able to say that on the camera. I used to do negotiation reviews because every single time I made an offer with a buyer or received an offer for one of my sellers, there were multiple offers. They were really exciting. There were fun things to talk about, strategies and tips to share, and really we haven't been able to do that because there haven't been as many multiple offer situations, but it's come back to the market. For sellers, this means that timing this year maybe isn't as important because there are so few houses on the market. Just putting your house on the market in February might even end up being better than putting it on in June, who knows? But in 2020, I think it's going to be less important about the timing, at least at the beginning of the year here, of when you put your house on the market. Just the fact that there are so many buyers out there. I have myself multiple buyers, probably 4 or 5 last week that had absolutely 0 houses come up on their save searches, which is not normal. A lot of times we'll see a few. We've had lower inventory than other markets here for a long time, but it's not super fun to call your clients on a weekly basis and say, hey, how's it going? There's nothing on the market. Nope, I'm not seeing anything either. Those are the kind of conversations I've been having for the last few months with certain clients based on price point too, but seeing that trend continuing this long into the year is a little bit disconcerting, but also points to, I think, the fact that we're gonna have a really strong first part of the year here in Seattle. What does this mean for you if you're a buyer? Well, first, it means you have to make that shift mentally from trying to negotiate the price down and getting more favorable terms to how can I make my offer the best and stand out to the seller? How can I make my offer more attractive to them versus how can I get the best for me? Now, of course, we want your offer to be the best for you, but you also, if you're competing with other buyers, need to think about and consider what the seller wants and how you can make your offer stand out among a stack. Now, I've done lots of multiple offer situations. I've successfully negotiated a lot of them. I've also unsuccessfully negotiated some. And so I've learned a lot of tips and tricks that I have shared in great detail. If you really want to dive into some of these strategies to make your offer stand out, I recorded a 30-minute video a few years back. I will link it up down here in the description below. Just for fun, I'm going to give you 3 different tactics that will allow you to stand out among a pile of other offers. The first one is price. Every negotiation comes down to price as one of the key factors, especially in a home purchase. Sellers want to know how much money they're going to walk away with. Now, on the price negotiation, we can come out and offer more. We can just pick a number like, hey, yeah, we're gonna offer $50,000 more. than the asking price and stick with that, or we can include what's called an escalation clause in the contract. And this clause allows us to essentially make a silent bid. We pick a walkaway number and we pick a dollar amount that we're going to pay above competing offers. And if somebody else is willing to make a higher walkaway point, they're probably going to beat us on price. And if you do the same, you're the one that's going to win on price. But you have no clue what these other offers are going to be, so it's a little bit of a shot in the dark. But we make our best guess and we pick our walkaway point and we hope for the best on the price side. Now, the other things we can do in our offer are a little bit more controllable. The second way you can make your offer stand out to sellers is with your terms. This is going to include your earnest money amount, your good faith deposit amount, and the larger that number is, typically the more excited the seller is to consider your offer. The seller wants to know that you are going to proceed with the transaction. So they want the most amount of money, but they also want the security and confidence that you are going to close. So if you can increase that earnest money amount, it decreases the likelihood that you are going to walk away from the transaction. In Washington State, you can put up to 5% of the purchase price down as earnest money. Most people do 2 to 3%. So if you find yourself in a competitive situation and are willing to go up on that earnest money amount, maybe to 4 or 5%, it's going to make your offer stand out among others. A few other things you can do are include a rent back in the contract. Sometimes the seller wants to stay in the house a little bit longer after closing, maybe to find a new home to move to or start looking at a purchase. There are lots of different reasons a seller might want to stay in the house a little bit longer, but if you can be flexible and allow them that time, that could make your offer stand out. On the other side of that, sometimes a seller wants to get the house sold quicker. Maybe they want to be out of their house in 21 days. If you can close quicker, that can also set you apart. So these are just a few of the terms. Again, not all of them, but just a few of the things that you can do. The third thing you can do is minimize the amount of contingencies in your contract. These contingencies are essentially buts in the contract, BUT buts, okay? They're the opportunities for you to back out of the contract. And of course, the seller doesn't want you to do that. So if you can minimize your options and opportunities to walk away from the transaction, the seller is going to be happy with you. A few of the most common contingencies include financing contingencies and inspection contingencies. And as a buyer, you can make your financing contingency stronger if you still include it by getting what's called pre-underwritten on your loan. Now, pre-approval is a necessary part of a purchase transaction before making an offer. But if you go the extra step and get pre-underwritten on your file, you're going to be even stronger to the seller than maybe somebody that's just pre-approved. Now, ideally, the seller is hoping you wouldn't even have a financing contingency because then you wouldn't be able to back out if your financing fell through for some reason. Now, there's ways that we can work around that and still have a financing contingency but protect you in some ways. And I talk about that more in that other video, so make sure you check out the link below for more strategies. The other contingency is the inspection contingency, and this inspection contingency is your opportunity to inspect the house and see what you're getting yourself into, but it also gives you an opportunity to negotiate with the seller, maybe get some concessions, have them do some work, maybe get some money back. What you can do is do your inspection ahead of time. Now, it removes any leverage that you would have in the transaction and opportunity to negotiate, but you still get the opportunity to inspect the house ahead of time, see what you're getting yourself into, and decide, do I want to make the offer or do I not want to make the offer? In the seller's eyes, they're more confident in your offer because you're not going to be walking away over some things that need to be fixed in the house. So ultimately, if you can have the best package of price, terms, and contingencies, you are going to stand out and most likely be the best offer in a multiple offer situation. The Seattle real estate market is definitely heating up. There's a lot more competition. There are a lot more buyers in the market and a lot fewer homes than we've seen in the past few years, but that doesn't mean that you have to miss out. So if you're watching this video and you have some fear about the process of buying a house or how am I gonna beat multiple offers, I'd love to be a resource for you. The first thing you can do is go down into the description and watch that video on how to make multiple offers, how to beat multiple offers. The other step that you can take is reaching out to me. I'd love to be a resource for you and walk through this process with you and be an asset to your team.